Hi, welcome to Something to Talk About. My name is Taco, and I'm doing one of my remakes, working my way through them. And I got Lucamore Strong today. Yeah, I mean this video is gonna be a lot longer. I'm adding a lot more, and also there's art of Lucamore Strong. First time I covered him, um, there wasn't like official art on him, so I'm pretty excited. There was like one picture out there, which I'm also using again. But anyways, if you don't know what's going on here, this is what's going on here. And spoilers for I wouldn't even know what it would be for, just because this character is deep inside Fire and Blood and in kind of like King Jaehaerys the first reign. So yeah, if you don't want any Fire and Blood spoiled, there you go. I might spoil a little bit of the main books, but it's not. I mean, I'm just talking about them a little. All right. Anyways, so welcome. How are you guys doing? I'm pretty excited. I love Lucamore Strong. I also just love how strong. So I'm really pumped to cover them. You guys doing good? Talk about a Song of Ice and Fire characters. Let's go. I already showed you this one. Let's talk about this one. Lucamore Strong, also known as Lucamore the Lusty, we'll get into it, was a knight from House Strong and a member of the Kingsguard during the reign of King Jaehaerys I. Lucamore was described as amiable, strapping, broad-shouldered, young blonde bull. Ooh, we'll definitely get into that. And he was a great favorite of the small folk in tourneys, as well as loved it. He and was loved at court. There you go. Reading. I literally spend most of the day writing, and then when it comes time to read them, I'm like, I've never seen these words before. All right. Second slide, I always cover the house. So House Strong of Harrenhal was a noble house in the Riverlands. Their main seat was Harrenhal, and we'll kind of get into that here. Like the other families who have been in possession of Harrenhal, their family died out. Ooh, spoilers. After Lucamore, their sigil was blue, red, and green stripes on white, representing the three forks of the trident. Yeah, blue fork, the red fork, and the green fork of the trident in the Song of Ice and Fire lore in Westeros. All right. House Strong boasted their descent from the First Men. During Aegon's conquest, House Strong followed House Tully in rebelling against Harrenhal, King of the Isles of the River, supporting instead House Targaryen. Sir Osmond Strong was named Hand of the King during the reign of Aegon I and oversaw the construction of the wall around King's Landing. These guys got Harrenhal thanks to our boy here. So yeah, don't want to spoil it too much, but yeah, this is when they do get Harrenhal. But got entangled with the Targaryens and died out. Yeah, they kind of got too close to the fire, if you will, right? If you guys are familiar with House of the Dragon, if you guys know anything about the House Strongs that aren't Lucamore Strong or members of House Strong, you know that they kind of like one of them's Hand of the King, one of them also gets onto the small council as Master of Whispers, and then the other one impregnates the princess, who later becomes the queen, and his own bastards, most likely, are heirs to the Iron Throne. Like, they got pretty close to the sun, and they don't make it. So, yeah, cautionary tale. Don't hang out with Targaryens, man. Right. The tourney at the Dragonpit. So, the Dragonpit was finally completed in 55 AC. The Master Coin Lord Manfred Redwine proposed to King Jaehaerys I, I just call him King Jerry, to celebrate the completion of the Dragonpit, with a great tourney, to which Jerry agreed. Yeah, if you're not aware, Jerry is what I call Jaehaerys. But yeah, so Maegor burned the Sept of Remembrance and left this entire hill, is it Rainey's Hill, empty, right? And then, I might have got that wrong. I think it's Rainey's Hill. And then he started the building of the Dragon Pit, but it was right after Maegor completed the Red Keep. The Red Keep got made, and then he decides to murder everybody who worked on it. Geez, get in a union, get that stuff in a contract, right? You can't don't kill us all afterwards. So he kills everybody to keep the secrets of the Red Keep under wraps. So he Yeah. So then afterwards, he's like, man, I really want to like build the dragon pit now. And it's like, what happened to all the builders? Didn't Stalin do something like that? Let's get rid of all the doctors and then I'll get sick. Anyways, so yeah, and then Jaehaerys took over, as king, and then got the dragon pit eventually completed. So that's a little bit of history of the dragon pit. So after winning the Squires tourney, Rickard Redwine was knighted by the king himself. Ooh, good job. And then the champion laurels went to the Gallant. So this is for the jousting. So I'm talking about the Squires tourney, the jousting, and then the melee, right? The champions laurels went to the Gallant and handsome Sir Simon Dondarrion of Blackhaven. And then dragons have yet been settled in the dragon pit. The colossal I had to put in a word I don't know, was chosen for the site of the tourney's grand melee. The clash of arms such as King's Landing has never seen before. 77 knights took part in 11 teams, and the competitors began a horse. They started off as being horses, but once unhorsed, once they turned back into humans, they continued on foot, battling with sword, mace, and axe in Morningstar. When all teams but one had been eliminated, the surviving members of the final team turned on one another. Holy crap. Until only a single champion remained. In the end of the melee, 2 men were killed and more than 2 score were wounded. Notable favorites including William Safford, King Kegel Whale, I covered him for my Oktoberfest video, Harris Hogg, Harry the Ham, and Alan Bullock, and then Rogar Baratheon's 3 brothers, and then Guile the Cunning and Alistair Rain. So these guys were all the favorites, but all of them failed because after hours of bloody fighting, only one man was left standing, and that was Lucamore Strong, the guy we're talking about. So he won the melee at the Dragon Pit. That's what I'm getting at here. So what happened next? Kingsguard. So Sir Willem the Wasp, one of the 5 champions in the War of the White Cloaks. So that was like the big tourney before this that chose 5 of the 7 members of the Kingsguard. And one of the people who won that, because there was all the Kingsguard got, either sent to the wall or worse by Jaehaerys at all of Maegor's, right? And then when Jaehaerys took over, he got Giles Morgan and then Sir Joffrey Doggett, who I love, very big favorite of mine. And then he only had 2 Kingsguard, so he needed 5 more. And then they were going to have this big melee anyways. Well, first they were like, why don't you guys just take the 5 champions of the joust and make them Kingsguard members? This was at the Golden Wedding for Jaehaerys' mom. And he's like, well, I rarely get attacked on horseback, so why don't we make it the winners of the melee? And that melee became known as the War for the White Cloaks. And Sir Willem the Wasp was one of them. I got so much stuff actually on my cards to cover. I don't know why I'm giving you guys so much backstory. I just love this era so much. That's probably what it was. So, yeah, so he died looking for Balerion the Black Dread in Essos the following year. So, yeah, so that the tourney at the Dragon Pit was in 55, so this is 56, right? Jaehaerys awarded a white cloak to Sir Lucamore due to his victory at the Dragon Pit. Sir Lucamore was on duty when Balerion the Black Dread returned to King's Landing in 56 AC, descending in the courtyard of the Red Keep with the affected the affected Prince Arya Targaryen barely clinging to him. So if you don't know what's going on, here's more backstory. But yeah, Arya Targaryen, I never know how to say her name, just kind of jumped on the gigantic Balerion the Black Dread one day, and he just like flew off, and he was gone for like a super long time. And this is when he's returning, and we don't know what's happening. So let's get into that. So yeah. So she was barely clinging to him. She was almost unrecognizable. She was stick thin, and whatever clothes she still wore were nothing more than tatters. Her hair was matted in a tangled mess, and her eyes were bloody after speaking. I never... Arya collapsed. Lucamore had been at this point on the bridge that crossed the dry moat surrounding Maegor's holdfast. He shoved it through the onlookers and lifted her into his arms and carried the girl across the castle to Grand Maester Bennifer. So if you want a lot more about this, I do have a video about Maester Bennifer during my Maester week. So that completely covers what happened to Arya Targaryen. And yeah, so this is just when Lucamore finds her. I don't cover too much of it besides that, right? Because it's kind of messed up. He later told everyone who listened that the princess was stick thin, so hot with a fever that he could feel the heat through his enabled scale of his armor, which is crazy. There was blood in her eyes, and then he said, there was something inside her, something moving that made her shudder and twist in my arms. So I'm going with his voice. I didn't have that planned. That's just what happened. He was summoned by King Jaehaerys the next day and commanded not to speak of Arya anymore. So, yeah. He was telling everybody because I'm sure it was really shocking and really, like, I don't know, like scarring and traumatic. But, of course, the king's like, that's our business. That's Targaryen business. That's... the small folk don't need to hear this. You can't do that. So, yeah. So he had to stop. So just a little warning, like, hey, stop telling everybody about that. All right, so Lucamore the Lusty. After Princess Rhaena died, or Princess Rhaena, who had ruled as de facto Lady of Harrenhal, died in 73 AC, King Jaehaerys named Lucamore's brother Sir Bywin Strong the new Lord of Harrenhal. Yeah, that's kind of a lot to just unpack, and we don't really have to, but because she didn't really have a place to go after a while, Dreamfire Rhaena, one of my favorite characters, kind of just needed a place to just be because she was on Dragonstone. It didn't end very well, and everywhere she goes, people are just kind of trying to use her and manipulate her and try to steal her dragon. So finally, she just went to Harrenhal, and it was so big that the person who was in charge of it at the time, she was able to just kind of stay away from them and do her own thing. So then she even outlasted the people who were already living there, and then she kind of became the de facto leader of Harrenhal, but it was never said anywhere, right? It was just ruins, and she lived there with her dragon, and yeah, with Dreamfire, and yeah, and then after she died, had to go to someone, and Bywin Strong is considered just as big and formidable and strong as Lucamore. So apparently he's a really good warrior on his own right, and I guess, maybe they really like Lucamore, and when Jaehaerys needed somebody to give it to, he's like, hey, don't you got a brother, Luke? And Luke's like, yeah, Bywin. It's like, well, does he want Harrenhal? Sure. So this year proved to be a sorrowful one for Targaryens. Not only the death of Rhaena, but also the death of Jaehaerys and Alysanne's infant son, Gaemon. That was not at all. But that was not all. For towards the end of this year, a secret got revealed. So this is all in 73 AC, right? Oh my God. The secret got revealed. It was discovered by Kingsguard member Sir Ryan Redwine that Sir Lucamore had broken his Kingsguard vows of not marrying or fathering children. It was found that he had wed in secret not once but thrice, with each woman being ignorant of the other two. On these 3 wives, he had fathered a total of 16 children. Jeez. Sir Ryan brought the revelation to Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, Sir Giles Morgan, who in turn had Lucamore seized and brought before the Iron Throne, along with the 3 wives and all of the children. So everybody was there, right? This scandal shocked both court and city, although it was eventually a cause of great laughter and merriment among the small folk who called him Lucamore the Lusty. Though the small folk laughed, no laughter was heard in the Red Keep, since King Jaehaerys and Good Ally were both very fond of Lucamore and were mortified to learn that he played them both for fools. Yeah, you're not supposed to. You take vows, right, when you join the Kingsguard, and you're not supposed to wed, and you're definitely not supposed to bang, and you're definitely not supposed to have kids. Of course, almost every member, I think, found a way to do one of those things, the middle thing, right? But you try not to have kids, and you try not to get married, so anyone knows. But even Jaime lists, like, of all of them that broke, how they all break the vows. And even freaking Jaime broke his vows. He was banging Cersei, right? So, yeah, it's kind of a really, really stupid thing. I'll talk about it more later of these vows, but yeah, so he broke them 3 times, 16 kids. Wow. All right. I have 1 kid and 1 more on the way, and I really love my family. I do. That's not what I'm saying, but like 1 kid's a lot. You can literally just be doing nothing but hanging out with kids all day, and at the end of the day, you're like, oh, I need a day off. 16? He probably didn't take care of him. He just like, I'm going to go be a knight, and just left the kids with the wives. So never mind. He's probably not a good dad. Is what I'm getting at. All right. Facing the king. But even though the king and queen, but even more than the king and queen, Lukey's what I went with, own brothers in the Kingsguard were the most angrier. Wow. I was tired when I wrote this. Speaking for his sworn brothers, Lord Commander Giles Morgan declared Luke dishonored and all that he dishonored all they stood for, and requested that he be put to death. Wow. When dragged in front of the Iron Throne, Lucamore fell to his knees and confessed his guilt and begged for mercy. Medium-aged King Jaehaerys, he's not quite old king yet, but he's definitely not young king. He's been ruling for like 20-something years. Might have granted it had Lucamore not been foolish enough to add, for the sake of my wives and children, at the end of his plea. And according to Septim Barth, this was tantamount to throwing his crimes in the king's face. So Jerry reminded him that even Maegor's Kingsguard that changed to his side had to be punished as oath breakers, right? Jaehaerys declared he would have no oath breakers serving him, and Queen Alysanne added that Lucamore had not only broken the vows of Kingsguard, but also his marriage vows, because he married 2 more times, right? Adding that if he could betray those vows, how could he be trusted to hold the vows to like protect the king, right? Like, hey, sorry, I made a mistake. Please have mercy. It's like, dude, if you can toss away marriage vows and go and get multiple wives, how do I know that you'll like stay true to the ones that are like protect me and the royal family? Like if you're breaking one vow, you might break them all, right? I don't know if I quite follow that logic, but I mean, I follow it. I don't know if I buy it, but that's what Jerry is saying. I mean, that's like, oh, if you jaywalk, you probably are robbing banks. You're not. You're jaywalking. All right. I'm not equivalating multiple adultery as jaywalking. I'm just saying the idea of you break one rule, you'll break them all is kind of asinine. That's what I was saying. I wasn't saying that jaywalking and adultery are the same thing. Oh my God. All right. I'm on one today. All right. Jaehaerys declared that he would have no oath breakers. I already said that part. Yeah, so Alysanne declared none of the 3 marriages could be lawful, and thus all the children are bastards, and that the kids are the true victims. Yeah, they're absolutely the true victims here. They are. She also declared that the wives were not entirely innocent, and as while each woman were unaware of the other 2, they had known that Lucamore was a knight of the Kingsguard, and thus not allowed to wed. So they were kind of guilty too, is what she's saying. She declared some mercy would be granted for them, but none for him. Yeah, no, not at all. All right, the punishment and sentencing. As his wives and children wept, cursed, and stayed silent, all 3 of those things, the king ordered Lucamore gelded immediately and put in chains and then sent to the wall. the Knights, and then the king said, the Night's Watch will require you to take vows as well. See that you keep them, because the next thing you'll lose is your head. It's like, yeah, dude, I just chopped your wedding tackles off. The Night's Watch will just chop your head off. The queen handled the families and declared his sons may join him on the wall, and 2 of his elder sons did choose to do so, so they did go up on the wall. His daughters could be accepted as novices of the faith if they desire, but only 1 chose that path. The other children elected to stay with their mothers. His 3 wives were sent in exile from King's Landing. The first was given in charge of Byron Strong at Harrenhal. Lucamore's brother in the Riverlands, Lucamore's brother in the Riverlands. The second to Daemon Valerian on Driftmark in the Crownlands, and the third was sent to Garen and Lord Borman Baratheon of Storm's End in the Stormlands, along with their children, who were forbidden to continue to use the surname Strong. For that day, these children of the first wife were known as Rivers, and the second as Waters, and the children of the third were Storm, right? Like wherever they sent them. Like the ones they sent to Harrenhal are Rivers, so on and so forth, right? Lucamore forevermore became known as Lucamore the Lusty. His deceits are recorded in the White Book and are sung about in a humorous song. Yeah, people make fun of it. So, all right, his legacy. So this is when people are talking about him later on, right? Sir Jaime Lannister mentions Lucamore to Loras Tyrell when they were talking about former Kingsguard members. Jaime later cites him as an example to Sir Ilan Payne of when discussing what to do about Sir Osmond Kettleblack. Yeah, that is a bit of the pot calling the kettle black there, Jaime. He's like, well, Osmond Kettleblack's a member of the Kingsguard. He's sleeping with Cersei. Maybe they should do what they did to Lucamore Strong. It's like, bro, you're sleeping with Cersei. What are you talking about here? Oh, my God. Hypocrisy, the name is Jaime. So Sir Aerys Oakhart uses Lucamore as an example of why he must keep his vows. As he talked with Arianne Martell, she said, yes, and what of Lucamore Lusty with his 3 wives and 16 children? The song always made me laugh. And Aerys said, the truth is less funny. He was never called Lucamore Lusty whilst he lived. His name was Sir Lucamore Strong, and his whole life was a lie. When his deceit was discovered, his own sworn brothers gelded him, and the old king sent him to the wall. Those 13 children were left weeping. He was no true knight, no more than Torrance Toyne. So yeah, so his legacy's dog crap, right? Like, you either know that he's a piece of crap and that's what you know about him, or there's a song that makes fun of him. So poor Lucamore Strong. I really like the guy. I bet he was a cool cat, but that's all we learned about him was that he's a massive adulterer. All right, so I got some theories. I got 2 slides here. I think this might be one of the first times I got 2 post-story slides, right? So some theories. As I said in the first time I covered him, there was a link between Lucamore, the quote, white bull, and the fertility god symbolism of the antlered men like Garth the Green had. Garth had antlers, well, most likely, right? Some tales he did, and it made girls pregnant by touching them, and made like plants grow and stuff, right? He was a fertility god, essentially. Lucamore was also horned, right? And he was crazy fertile. Check out David Lightbringer's video. I'll put a link in the description. Garth the Green Man, Origins of the Green Men vid. Though Lucamore isn't mentioned in it at all, that's not what this video is, but it covers the fertility god stuff. Yeah. So essentially, watch that video if you want to know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about Garth the Green Hand being horned fertility god. And then the fact that Lucamore's called the blonde bull, like horns, bull horns, and he went and had 16 kids. I think there is some going on there too. I think that symbolism is being used for how strong as well. All right. And there's also a vid by the Disputed Lands called "A Song of Ice and Fire Theory." Sir Duncan the Strong, and this proposes that Lucamore's children all over the realm passed his quote strong genes all over, including all the way down to Duncan. So yeah, I'll put that link in the description too. So just like there's not too much for Lucamore the Strong. I believe Joe the Magician also has a video on Strongs being like the forgotten Starks, essentially. But that's not about Lucamore itself, and neither is the Garth the Greenhand video. But hey, the Disputed Lands one. So go check out the Disputed Lands one. But yeah, I was just trying to find a video not about the Strongs, but about actual Lucamore. But yeah, all right, I got one more thing I would like to add. So some thoughts. So I also wanted to ask you this. Do you think what his punishment was justified? I'm sure Jerry did, since he believed that it was his right to rule over the realm and that he actually needs protection and men that are devoted to him, right? Like, he's a king and he believes that he's the rightful king. And he's like, dude, this guy took oaths to protect me. And he's breaking these rules, right? So this is, here comes my here comes my more rebellious side. He was only king because his grandfather conquered most of the continent, right? He's not represented by the people. He's not voted in, right? So sure, he has dragon blood, right? So that might make him a little more special. But blood doesn't mean you are owed an entire kingdom. It doesn't. I don't care what your blood is. I don't care what weird warging abilities you have over dragons, if you will. But yeah, that doesn't mean that you get to pick my tax policies. What are you talking about? So sure, as far as kings go, he wasn't bad. Yeah, Jerry wasn't a horrible king by any means. He's one of the better kings, horrible dad. But still, he is just a man. And then he made other men trade their entire lives away and take like oaths of celibacy just protect him. And yes, Lucamore took these vows and went back on them. He lied, and also he cheated on his wife. Those are true. That's all true. He was a dog. I'm not saying that Lucamore was not a dirty dog for doing that, all right? But so does Jerry. The dude fathered 13 kids on his own sister, right? Does he really have a place to pass judgment on Lucamore? They're both dogs. I think that's a little messed up. Like, Jaehaerys is a dog too. He's got 13 kids with his sister, which I think is really weird, which most people think are really weird. And then he had to go out and do like freaking like propaganda to teach everyone Targaryen exceptionalism to prove I'm actually more important than you. And that speaks to my brain as complete bullcrap. Okay, you're just a dude. Your whole family likes to do incest just to keep your stupid magical blood genes. I don't have any magical blood genes. I don't respect your magical blood genes. You didn't have to earn those. You didn't get educated to get magical blood genes, and you definitely didn't earn running the kingdom, right? I'm sorry. I'm going on my soapbox here. So I don't really respect him as any kings as kings. I don't really like the idea of kings. But all that being said, he's a dog too. And do you think that it is justified how he treated Lucamore? That's all I was going to ask. I'll get off my soapbox. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you like this one more than the first time I covered it 2 years ago. And yeah, I love Lucamore the Strong, Lucamore Strong, so I'm glad I got to talk about him again. And sorry if I got a little preachy there at the end. All right, I will be sure to put the Disputed Lands video and the David Lightbringer video in the description. All right, thank you guys. Peace.